How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Palantir, which was up almost 6% on the Friday. I know many of you have been asking me, Dre, we need an update, so I'm going to come through for you guys. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support, we want to know resistance, we want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Palantir. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $8.85, being up 5.86%. On the low, it tested $8.43, and then on the high, testing $8.85. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 37.064 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 37.758 million shares. So we pretty much had the average volume on the day, and we also saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 47.05. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 50-day, but as you can see right here, we close right at the 21-day EMA, so that is great to see. But one thing we can see from the chart though, Palantir is in a bear market since it is trading below under a 200-day moving average, and just like many other stocks, because we are in some bearish conditions. Now, what I want to talk about what's been going down recently. So we had a 52-week low at $6.44. So right now, temporarily, this was the floor for Palantir when the market was pulling back. But as you can see what's happening, it is on a steady uptrend. And why it was able to do this, because the market has been picking up. So what I want to see from Palantir in the near term is filling in the gap at around $9.41 or around $9.40. You can see it clearly. I marked it with the horizontal line. We ended up seeing a high at $8.85, which is where we closed. So I'd want to see $9.41 sometime this week. If we don't get that, if we decide to consolidate now, that wouldn't be bad either, because Palantir has been forming higher lows and higher highs for the past 3 trading days. So at least if Palantir could stay above, let's say around $8.30 and consolidate above this level, there is nothing wrong with that. I know what you're saying, Dre, but that does break the higher low pattern. But if we're going to be bullish and we're going to get that move to 940 for this week, then it's very key for Palantir to be able to hold support around $8.60. If this level holds, then we'll see 941 very quickly. And once it fills in that gap, then I would be very interested to see if we can make that move to $10. It is very possible for this play. It can get moving very quickly, especially if the market decides to go in an uptrend. So I'd keep a very close eye. We also have the 50-day moving average, which is at $11.05. So like I said, $10 will be a psychological area for this play, but if we get that break above it, it can get very interesting. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Palantir. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings, we can see there's a good amount of activity, but as far as for new positions for the 27th, we have Granite Shares ETF Trust that purchased 10,314 shares. We have Walleye Capital LLC that purchased 29,052 shares, and we have CFS Investment Advisory that purchased 47,355 shares. We also see for the 26th, we have AQR Multi-Asset Fund Class N that has a short position of 699 shares, and we have SA Funds Investments Trust that went in with 4,149 shares. And going going down even more. Like I said, a lot of activity that is happening in regards to changes. But for the 25th, for a new position, we have JNL Series Trust that purchased 6,539 shares. And for the 24th, we have M Holding Security Inc. that purchased 11,720 shares. And throughout that period that we looked at, you can see as far as closed positions, there's not many whatsoever. So that's good to see. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 52.15%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 8.53 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 15 minutes ago. And then for the Sharpe fee rate, it is at 0.25%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 26th, it was at 41.09. And then for the close of the 27th, being at 52.15. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 7.54%, it's unfortunate that Palantir doesn't have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Palantir. So we see on the inflow it's at 45.17 million, and then on the outflow it's at 35.78 million. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 29.89, and then on the small it was 15.28 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 0, on the medium it was 23 million, and on the small it was 12.78 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see for the 27th it was 0, but for the 26th we had 1.1 million, and then for the 24th we had 1.77 million. So as far as overall on the week, looking really strong. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the large, represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had 0 on both sides. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.81%. So this is not too bad for a stock like Palantir. We also have to take into consideration they did have a recent catalyst, and we've been seeing the market pick up as a whole, and Palantir has been able to benefit from this. We'll move on to the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Palantir, it has been seeing a lot of momentum as of late. Like I said previously in the video, they announced 2 partnerships. So one was an automaker by the name of Stellantis, and then the second one was Rubicon Technologies, which is a waste and recycling marketplace operator. So Palantir is definitely putting in the work as far as expanding the business while we go through this volatile time in the markets. So one thing that I want to bring up though, there is a gap that needs to be filled at $9.40. And I can see this gap getting filled in the near term, maybe even for this coming week. So if you were a trader, I'd want you to keep an eye on that level. Can it potentially make a move to $10? Most definitely. But again, look out for that gap fill first. Make sure you get in on a pullback and be able to take advantage whether you want to go in with shares or you want to go in with options. Because I do believe we still have some more upside in these markets for the next couple weeks. And because we have Amazon that's going to be splitting their stock. So if Amazon is running up, it's going to take the entire market with it. So you don't want to ignore this. And it's part of the reasons why we've been seeing a lot of momentum in the markets. I know this is a Palantir video, but take a look at some of those stocks on your watch list. Take a look at Apple. Take a look at Tesla. All of these stocks have run up quite a bit, and I don't see this slowing down. We could have some consolidations, we could have some pullbacks, but again, things are definitely looking great, and I'm looking for Palantir to fill in this gap very soon. And another point I want to add in regards to the technicals, it is continuing to look strong. It has formed higher lows for the past 3 trading days alongside with higher highs. So again, very bullish on this play for the short term. Also, we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership. We do see a lot of activity, and we see institutions loading up on shares as well. But do know, we are seeing an equal amount. We have institutions who have been reducing their positions. We have institutions who have been increasing their positions. And of course, we have institutions that have been adding new positions as well. Like I said, Palantir does grab the attention of a lot of institutions. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, Palantir doesn't have short squeeze potential. And part of the reasons behind this, because they have a lot of shares outstanding. outstanding. I think they have about 1.71 billion in regards to the free float. So in order for it to have short squeeze potential, like I said, there'd have to be a lot of shorts who be vested in this play. But it does continue to have volatility, and that is why I want to make sure if you're a trader, you have a game plan before jumping into the play. But overall, in general, I'm expecting big things from this stock for the coming week. Let me know if you're going to be trading it inside of the comments, and let me know how it turns out if you catch back this video by the end of the week as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.